called skipping stone sabotage. Go away, you two. Wobble, wobble. We've had a lovely evening here. It's been beautiful to be able to be outside, to sit outside with the dogs, even have like a bite to eat. But we're so torn now because this is so incredible and this is a different side of Norway that we haven't experienced yet. So we are very torn, but we're also ready for a little bit of sunshine. So we are going to continue south. We're going to go on the scenic route. So let's see where we end up today.
We just go from, right, we're heading south, we're getting out of here, and then you find a spot like this and you go like, oh, maybe we should just see a bit more of Norway, but we're going to lose so much time just travelling, getting back to the UK, getting some bits sorted there before we even make it into southern Europe. So we want to catch that sweet spot of like the springtime before it goes crazy and too hot in the summer. So it's a tough pill to swallow, but I think we're going to just have to leave. Right, so we've just been across the Jotunheimen National Park. If you look at a map, there's like the fat part of Norway at the bottom is right in the middle of that. Super high elevation mountain pass. Winter is very much still up there. People having a great time, loads of fun. There's all like the fun convoys going through there. We went past or following one guy that was being towed on a snowboard by the car in front. There was like snow way above our van at the side of the road, so like it's crazy up there. But we're down on the other side now, all the snow's gone. So we've got Oslo in the sat nav. We're not sure whether we'll make it the entire way because it's another 3 hours. Plus, I think with this scenic road that we're taking, if we just went straight to Oslo now, I think we're really going to be missing out on like a decent wild camp spot, a bit like yesterday. So that'd be really cool if we can get another spot down by the river or down by the sea and just enjoy a bit of this scenic Norway before we head back to the boring motorway roads across Europe. So let's see what happens next. We've made it to this incredible spot slightly north of Oslo. To be honest, I probably could have gone a bit further, but the spots surprisingly weren't that great leading up there, and this is really lovely. As you can probably hear, it's very close to the road and nowhere near as nice as last night's spot, but it's still not a bad spot. As I said, I wanted to continue, but we just thought, you know what, tomorrow we're probably going to be leaving Norway. We've decided we're going to take the Sweden route rather than take the long ferry from Norway down to Denmark. I think just with the dogs especially, to be on a ferry for hours is just not ideal. So we prefer, if we can, just to go at our own steam and stop when we want, go when we want, and I think that's going to work a lot better for us. But yeah, sad to see it all come to an end, but same again next year potentially. But I have to say, being in these spots and starting a YouTube channel, I'm really excited because we left full time to travel in our van last April, so it's just coming up to a year, and we have been to some incredible spots over that year, and what I'm excited about is to be able to share it. I know we've got the Instagram account, which is super cool to share stuff on there, but it's very short form content and it's very van orientated. You know, everyone loves a van, no surprise, but it'll be nice to show people a bit more about what we do and where we go and just the scenery, because some of the places we've been would just blow your mind.
A little bit of a halt on dinner. So we have a little issue with our LPG gauge. Normally it lasts a lot longer, but the gas has slowed down, so cooking has come to a halt, and I'm looking for how I do rice in an air fryer.
So yeah, not what I was expecting to come back to the van to. I was going to update you with the issues with the LPG system, because the LPG is fine, but our level sensor is a bit temperamental and it's let us down on a few occasions now, and yet again one more. So I think Alex Frood has found a system or a bit of kit that will link to our Victron, and hopefully that'll be a bit more reliable. But that doesn't help you when you're here and your dinner's halfway or about to be cooked and all the chicken's already in the pan. So yeah, that's quite frustrating, but we'll let you know how that pans out. I just realised I said pans out. I didn't mean that. Did I? You want to go in, bud? Your brother's already in. Right, so this might be the last spot in Norway that we have. We've got to get out of here, head south. We've got to aim for the ferry at Rodby, which leads from Sweden to Denmark. We've got to find gas because apparently, or LPG, because apparently we've now run out, and that sensor has let us down so many times. So not happy about that. I think we've got a replacement that will work better for us, but obviously can't do that just now. It seems crazy to say, but I think within a week we might be back in the UK, but hopefully not for long. We're ready for Southern Europe, shorts and flip-flops, doors open, and just get rid of these jackets and beanies, so better get on with it. Well, first things first, LPG. So you've got these different connectors for the LPG. You've got to figure out which one it is. I think it's the disc type here in Norway, but the only unfortunate thing is where the gas filler is, I've put it or moved it under the van because it was right at the back and we just kept clipping it off-road and damaging it. So let's go see how this goes. Yeah, so it's this disc type. If you look, you've got to push this up like that on, and then it locks into place. So it's got to wind that into under the van first. So we are back on the road and we've got loads of issues with the van and we're having to head back to the UK to get these sorted, but I'll tell you about those later on. We've just crossed over into Sweden, so it's official. Our winter and Arctic trip is over. So if you haven't seen those videos, go back on the channel and watch those now because we went to some incredible places. Also, if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you hit that button and subscribe, because we're a new channel, so that will really help us out. First on the list of issues is the LPG. We assumed last night we ran out, but I think it's the actual regulator that's playing up again, because we just filled up and we could only put 5 litres into a 20-litre tank. So, and then it came back on. So we assume it was just getting a bit sticky or just a little bit cold again. So it's just a nightmare. So that'll be one thing we'll have to replace. But we're now heading to the ferry port between Denmark and Germany. It's 6.5 hours away, so probably won't get there today. And we've got tons of hours between here and the UK, so let's just smash these hours out. Bear always likes to check their prices. Don't you, bud? It's expensive. UK. I'm gonna have a Hello? Anyway, gonna make a coffee and then do another 600 kilometers. Smashed out a fair few miles today, so I'm pretty pleased with that, and also really pleased with this stop. I mean, considering that we've been on the highway all day, I didn't expect anything like this. I thought it was just going to be a concrete jungle for the foreseeable until we reach the UK, but yeah, this is a smashing little spot. So it's time for dinner and an early night, and do it all again tomorrow. Join us in a random woodland in Germany. We've literally just been ploughing through the hours. It's been a case of wake up, drive, go to bed. We're getting ever so close to the UK, so today is the day they need to get their wormer. So we best get down the road, find a vet and get that sorted for them, otherwise we ain't going back. Let's go. So that's all the vets sorted. The most expensive wormer to get back into UK that we've had to pay for, even more expensive than Switzerland. It was 136 euros and it was 110 in Switzerland, and obviously Switzerland's notorious for being expensive. I did query it, and apparently German vets are governed by law, so that's why it's really expensive. So we are where we are, but we're just pleased that they fitted us in short notice and we can get the tunnel when we want. So overall, just glad it's done. So talking of expensive, we crossed a bridge yesterday from Denmark to Germany. No, that was the ferry. Where was it?
Sweden to Denmark.
So talking of expensive, we crossed a bridge yesterday from Sweden to Denmark and it cost £103. It's ridiculous. So a bit like last time when Bear had the wormer, He smells. What?
It smells.
What?
Someone's blowing this way.
Ready? Right, we just had to pull over because old Bear here, he's developed this kind of reaction now to wormer tablets, and he's stinking the van out. So we're gonna just take him for a little stroll and see if he's got any sort of production that he needs to get rid of. We've just been diverted, never seen this before, but there's weight control. Well, that man's going for a wee.
Lovely.
Hi.
Oh.
So anyway, so we've not seen this before, but there's weight control on the motorways in Germany, and because we're over 3.5 tons, we've been all around the houses, and we just got diverted through some city centre, and it's been a nightmare. So I'm quite keen to get off these roads, but we'll get Bear out and get him sorted, and then tell you about the problems with the van. He smells. So we're at a camping car stop. They're all over France, just to pay there because we're near the Channel Tunnel, but they never ever work for us. It says we've got credit on their account, doesn't work. I think last time we had to call them, their head office, and get patched through the barrier, but it's never what you need after a long day. Oh, the camera's working again.
One less problem to hopefully solve. Have you had enough today, Womble? Are you done today? Are you ready to leave? Get it. You've got to do your own dishes around here. Go on in.
Well, it really wasn't too bad today. It's probably one of our longest drives we've done in a little while, but as I said, yeah, just glad to get it done. To be honest, if you want to see some selfish human behaviour, jump on a motorway, because people are out for themselves out there. It's a wild ride.
So we are officially out of the Arctic, out of the Scandi countries. We are at Calais and ready to get the train tomorrow. We had the dogs wormed obviously earlier today, so now we just have to make sure that we wait the 24 hours before we can actually get the train. But as much as I've loved this trip, I'm also very, very ready to have a reset. Before we start the next chapter of adventures, this place needs a damn good clean. And I'm talking, I've got a date with a vax on the upholstery and a good feather duster, because there is all kinds hiding in this van, and I'm so ready to get it all sorted before we hit the road again.
So besides a deep clean, I need a haircut because it's not been done since before we left the UK. All well and good in the Arctic because you can just hide under a beanie, but I've got no idea what's going on up there now. But actual issues with the van, the main reason we're heading back to the UK is our front suspension has got a fault. It started knocking in the Lofoten Islands, and the company's agreed to replace it, obviously under warranty. But it's quite funny because if you imagine like a lowered car that, you know, when you see them go past and they literally bounce because it's so low, that's what it feels like, and it's knocking so badly. Reverse camera, that hasn't worked for I don't know how long, and then just as we pulled up here it started working again. Fantastic. LPG, that isn't working properly. Sliding step isn't working properly. There's quite a lot, so we're looking forward to being back, having a bit of a base and getting those things sorted. So, but of course, as we get those things fixed, replaced and cleaned, we'll film them and bring you along. So we're gonna have an early night here because we've got an early train, and see you tomorrow. Well, that's all because I'm French now. Well, that's us all checked in. We went to Pet Passport Control first. They were querying why we were there so early, but actually when we did the research, it's 24 hours after the wormer, but it has to be on arrival of the next country. So although we're before the 24 hours now checking in, we were correct, so they let us on. Good hack for you. We booked the earlier train, but the Standard Plus allows you to arrive or get a train within 4 hours of your departure time. So if the earlier train is cheaper, book that and then go to a later train, because it would have been another £50 to have booked the later train that we actually wanted. But just the caveat to that is it's only if they have availability. So don't take our advice and go in peak times and then be sat waiting for hours. But certainly worked for us, and we normally get the afternoon or late trains coming back. This is probably one of the first times we've come early, and it's so quiet and nice. So I think we'll definitely do this again. But just waiting to get on the train now and back to the UK. So if you want drama in your life, just start a YouTube channel, because it just finds you. So part of the normal checks coming into the train is that they will ask about your LPG and just make sure it's turned off. This is the first time they've ever asked if it's full or how full it is. And as you know, we've literally just filled up, so it's like basically 100%. But they said it needs to be below 80%, otherwise you cannot travel. So we were causing an absolute queue of people trying to check in. Everyone's getting irate, so apologies for holding everyone up, but we pulled out the way, and I was querying it because I know that LPG tanks only ever fill to 80% and they leave a 20% vapour space. So although our digital gauge, which is unreliable, was showing full, I was trying to argue or explain that our tank isn't actually 100% full because there's that 20% vapour space. Anyway, so then they had to get the managers out and everything. So we're under the van, and luckily the one actually on the tank shows full is 80%. So all good, we're on the train. But yeah, that was nearly a case of what they were telling us, right, you're back to the start, you're not travelling today. So, meanwhile, Tracy's burning gas to get the levels down. But we're on. The joys of coming back to the UK. Freedom! Drive on the left. Au revoir. Well, that's Bacchus. Bacchus? Well, that's us back on home soil, the land of fish and chips, the royal family, and potholes. So we're glad to see it back with the sun in the sky. It's definitely not the same place we left back in the winter, but yeah, we'll absolutely take this weather. But talking of food, a highlight of being back is we always thoroughly enjoy getting to order, eat all the fun foods and the good foods that we've missed that you can't get around Europe. So let us know, if you've been away from home, what's the first thing that you go and order, cook or eat? Be interested to know what that is. So the Eagle has landed. We've just heard that the suspension has arrived, so we need to update you on where we're going and how we're doing that. But other than that, we've got a massive to-do list to get through, so let's get back and crack on with it.